grab your tiaras and your strongest gin, darlings, because the royal reality show just served up another piping hot scandal. We're talking seismic shifts in the House of Windsor, or rather, a long overdue eviction notice for its most embarrassing resident. King Charles III, bless his weary, crown-wearing heart, has finally been forced, oh, the relentless drama, to make a profound and difficult decision about his younger brother, Prince Andrew. Let's be real, the Duke of York's perpetual entanglement with scandal had become less a troublesome shadow and more a Category 5 hurricane, relentlessly battering the monarchy's meticulously constructed facade. Public pressure? Royal commentators? Please, even a goldfish, bless its tiny memory, could see Andrew was a walking, talking PR disaster, cementing his banishment from the very core of royal life faster than you can say Epstein didn't kill himself. This isn't merely about dusty, inherited titles. It's about the very credibility and ultimate survival of an institution that, frankly, thrives on pretending it's still relevant in the 21st century. And before we dive headfirst into this glorious dumpster fire, do us a solid, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Your clicks, darling, fuel our delicious truth-telling gossip. Oh, the unbearable weight of scrutiny. Imagine the sheer agony. For what felt like eons, Prince Andrew, the erstwhile Duke of York, or, as we like to call him, the Duke of Denial, has been less a troublesome shadow and more a giant, embarrassing billboard for the firm's questionable judgment. While Mummy Dearest, the late Queen Elizabeth II, famously clutched her pearls and played the doting protector over her perpetually problematic second son, King Charles, bless his pragmatic little heart, ascended the throne with a clear, ruthless agenda. Institutional stability and public perception would take absolute precedence over any messy familial sentiment. Translation: Andrew was officially dead weight, a relic of a bygone era, now just clogging up the royal plumbing. The catalyst for this latest dramatic defenestration? A collective, guttural roar from the public, reaching a fever pitch. On October 17th, mark it down, folks, another infamous date etched into the ongoing saga of a Windsor disgracing himself. The royal family finally acknowledged the painfully obvious. Millions of Britons, echoed across the globe by every self-respecting royal expert and commentator, screamed one unambiguous plea. Strip him bare! Take away every last bauble and honour! And the monarchy, famously quick on its feet, said no one ever, simply couldn't ignore the clamour any longer. Charles, along with his inner circle of grim-faced advisers, found themselves compelled to convene. You can picture the scene, strained teacups rattling from sheer rage, hushed whispers of damage control, and the desperate scramble to safeguard the Crown's reputation, even if it meant inflicting deep personal pain on a family member who, let's be honest, clearly feels none himself. The discussions behind those gilded palace walls? Undoubtedly tense, revolving entirely around the absolute necessity of excising this persistent, festering sore of negative publicity. Honestly, it's a wonder it took them this long to finally pull the trigger. Then came the statement, a masterclass in spin control framed publicly as a voluntary surrender. Picture it. Andrew, with all the grace of a toddler giving up a favourite toy, declared he'd formally cease using his primary noble designation, the Duke of York title, and any other dusty honours he might still be clutching. His reasoning? So he wouldn't overshadow the good work done by the royal family. Oh, the selflessness! You can almost hear the violins playing a mournful tune, as if his continued existence wasn't already casting a shadow the size of Buckingham Palace itself. Let's face it, palace insiders are whispering it was less a noble sacrifice and more a "do this, or we'll cut your allowance and your Wi-Fi" ultimatum from King Chuck. That fancy Duke of York title, once a badge of honour, steeped in centuries of history and tradition, had become a lead weight around the monarchy's already straining neck. This momentous symbolic step follows his earlier, equally voluntary, loss of military affiliations and that oh-so-important HRH status back in early 2020, when Virginia Giuffre's civil lawsuit came calling. The sheer audacity that the family had to demand. He stopped using his most recognisable title just screams volumes about how deep the public's enduring distrust and Andrew's utter cluelessness truly runs. It's like telling a child not to wear a dirty crown to a state dinner. Some things are just obvious to everyone but the wearer. Now, to fully grasp the sheer magnificence of Charles's decision, we must rewind to the origins of Prince Andrew's spectacular fall from grace. A narrative so rich with bad decisions and worse company, it deserves its own Netflix series, perhaps titled The Prince and the Predator. For what felt like an eternity, our hero hogged negative international headlines, all thanks to his notorious association with the late, great convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Friendship? More like a toxic entanglement that saw Andrew jet-setting in circles so questionable they made a discount nightclub look respectable. The revelations of his continued visits to Epstein's lavish properties, even after the initial conviction, were a masterclass in reputational self-sabotage, proving some people truly learn nothing. And then, bam! Virginia Giuffre dropped her bombshell. Detailed, harrowing allegations of sexual assault on multiple occasions when she was a teenager, having been trafficked by Epstein. Andrew, of course, consistently and vehemently denied everything, with all the conviction of a child swearing they didn't eat the last cookie. His attempts to clear his name? A comedy goldmine, particularly that car crash 2019 BBC Newsnight interview, which only cemented his image as an evasive, empathy-deficient man utterly detached from reality. You can picture the producers' faces, somewhere between horror and pure, unadulterated glee. The ensuing civil lawsuit by Ms. Giuffre in the US ultimately forced the final ignominious separation between Andrew and his public duties. And while the case was settled out of court for a substantial undisclosed sum, which Andrew, bless him, still insists wasn't an admission of guilt as he clutches his pearls and his checkbook, the damage to the monarchy's already shaky trust fund was, let's face it, irreparable and immeasurable. And just when you thought Andrew had hit rock bottom, surprise, he brought a shovel, because honestly, the drama just keeps on giving. Our erstwhile royal found himself back in the hot seat thanks to a newly leaked email correspondence sent to a controversial financier, aka someone whose activities probably make Epstein look like a saint. This little gem, whether through implication or blatant disregard for common sense, painted King Charles and the rest of the royal gang in a spectacularly negative light. Clearly, Andrew was still trying to milk his defunct royal status and connections for all they were worth, compromising the Crown's ethical standards faster than you can say private jet to the Caribbean. This, darling, was a direct hit to Charles's meticulously crafted image as the king of transparency and modernisation. Our monarch, who spent decades cultivating a reputation as conscientious and responsible, unlike some people, realised his brother's endless shenanigans were now actively undermining his own authority and public image. The final straw? You bet. Time to amputate the festering limb and cut off the source of infection before it spread any further. And then, the ultimate royal showdown. Andrew, facing not just public ridicule, but a full-blown family intervention. Picture it. A private and deeply serious meeting. Somewhere a teacup rattled from sheer rage, obviously, with senior royals, possibly even King Charles himself, delivering the ultimatum. The million-dollar question, delivered with all the warmth of a freezing London fog. Andy, darling, what else is lurking in those Epstein archives? Any more skeletons ready to burst out of the closet? Was there more scandal, more uncomfortable truths, more incriminating texts ready to detonate and blow the whole institution sky high? Andrew's response, predictably, was a masterclass in self-preservation via utter incompetence. He could not give any guarantees. Couldn't give any guarantees. The man is a human ticking time bomb, bless his cotton socks. Obviously, Charles and his beleaguered advisers couldn't risk another PR apocalypse. The monarchy, you see, thrives on an illusion of confidence, consistency, and a carefully maintained distance from the murky world of high-profile financial and personal scandals. Andrew's blatant uncertainty sealed his fate, banishing him from royal life, which, let's be clear, doesn't mean he's slumming it in a council flat in Peckham. Oh no, he's still parked comfortably at Royal Lodge, but now he's just a princely barnacle clinging to the king's private purse, forever marginalised. A private citizen with a fancy, complicated title, relying on handouts from his big brother. How utterly dignified. But wait, there's more. Just when you thought Andrew's misery couldn't get any juicier, enter Virginia Giuffre's upcoming memoir, set to drop this Tuesday. Yes, darling, mere days for the palace to brace for yet another tidal wave of uncomfortable truths. This isn't just a book. It's a strategic nuclear weapon aimed squarely at the monarchy's already shattered credibility. Given Ms. Giuffre's long, persistent, and detailed allegations expect more shocking revelations than a tabloid on a slow news day, perhaps even rivaling a motivational poster in a dentist's waiting room for sheer unexpected trauma. The potential damage? Immeasurable, obviously. Every new piece of information, regardless of whether it leads to legal action, means more precious resources, red taxpayer money, spent on damage control for an institution that seems to bleed public trust like a leaky sieve. Clearly, Charles's urgent decision on October 17th to finally strip Andrew bare was a desperate preemptive strike, a PR shield against the incoming memoir. Look, we dealt with him. They're essentially screaming to the public, hoping to deflect the inevitable fallout. As if a new book won't just confirm everything we already suspected, only with more footnotes. King Charles, the self-appointed architect of the slimmed-down monarchy, is on a mission to ensure highest standards among his dwindling band of working royals. Unlike his late mother, who apparently valued personal loyalty and a desire for reconciliation over, not being a complete liability, Charles is all about the long-term health of the institution. Translation: Andrew was draining precious resources, monopolising media attention, and generally making everyone else look bad while the Prince and Princess of Wales actually tried to do some vital work. By forcing Andrew to relinquish his titles, again, force, not choice, and effectively banishing him, Charles is sending an unmistakable message louder than Big Ben. There's no room for compromise when the Crown's fragile PR is at stake. The monarchy, bless its heart, must appear unified, ethical, and relentlessly focused on service. Andrew's inconvenient inability to guarantee he wouldn't cause further mayhem made him an intolerable liability, a festering wound that refused to heal. His removal, while undoubtedly painful for Charles as a brother, you can just picture the single regal tear, was deemed essential governance. Charles is consolidating power. Ensuring his reign isn't just one endless Andrew-related crisis, but a narrative of stability and responsibility. The Duke of York title, historically a symbol of seniority and readiness to support the sovereign, now just screams permanently unfit. Andrew? Relegated to the royal equivalent of a forgotten basement, seen only when someone trips over him, never officially heard or endorsed by the crown. He is the ultimate contrast, empty ambitions versus earned success. So there you have it, darlings. Not just a family spat, but a painful constitutional and public relations necessity. Andrew's spectacular failure to reassure King Charles about the full extent of his Epstein dalliances, coupled with the relentless baying of the British public, forced those senior royals to act decisively on October 17th. The result? Andrew, formally severed from his last shred of dignity and definitively banished from the monarchy's operational heart. The immediate threats posed by the recent email leak and Virginia Giuffre's imminent memoir only underscore the wisdom and urgency of Charles's intervention. Our king has finally drawn a clear line in the sand, prioritising the crown's fragile reputation over his brother's continued comfort. What a sacrifice! This whole sordid affair certainly gives us much to reflect upon regarding the evolving standards expected of modern royalty and the intense scrutiny that every action, past or present, now faces. The price of proximity to the throne, as Prince Andrew has learned, far too late, bless his clueless heart, is absolute accountability. So, what do you think? Is this banishment enough, or should they just officially declare him a private citizen with a particularly unfortunate surname? Spill your tea and your most venomous opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for our next detailed celebrity and royal update. We'll be here, tracking every glorious development in the House of Windsor's ongoing tragicomedy.